Hello, everybody. Um, Welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking about meal prep, and I am doing kind of a dual live stream again on Instagram and on Facebook. Hello, everyone. If you're visiting here from Facebook or if you're on Instagram, I hope you're having a great day. My name's Jen Costanza. I am an integrative nutrition health coach. I work with women to help them get fit, boost their energy, and manage and reverse the symptoms of chronic stress. So if you are in that category, you're in the right place. And even if you're not, even if you don't define yourself that way, you still might be in the right place, because we're going to be talking about something that is universally applicable. Feeding yourself, right? We need to feed ourselves. And one of the ways that we can feed ourselves consistently and in a healthy manner is through a little prep and a little planning out our meals, prepping our meals ahead of time. And I wanted to talk about this today because something that I hear from a lot of people is that it's really difficult to figure out how to do meal prep. Either how to prep a week's worth of meals, or how to figure out how you're going to eat for the week ahead of time in the first place. And then second, maybe how to do it consistently. Actually, somebody texted me, or DM'd me rather, on Instagram before here and told me that, their biggest challenge with meal prep had to do with consistency, doing it every week. So I'm going to try to talk about that a little bit too. And hello, hi Jenny, and hi Seaside Stitches. Thanks for joining. I'm so excited to see you guys here. And all right, so why are we talking about meal prep? Like I said, it's something that we need to do. Hi. If we want to be able to feed ourselves and possibly feed our entire family, right? So that can make it even more or less of a challenge depending on how you look at it. So meal prep can be done in a lot of different ways, right? And I'm just going to say this out straight. Like, there is no one only, the right way to do it. I think that, you need to figure out, unfortunately, it's a little experimentation. You need to figure out what works right or best for you, given your circumstances in your life. If you're, how many meals that you are able to eat at home versus, how long you're out of the house during the day. If you're cooking for other people, that can kind of mean you have to kind of move things around a little bit when you're figuring out how to do meal prep. But that said, I'm going to give you kind of a 5-step strategy for doing meal prep on a weekly basis. So, step 1, and guess what? Not all of it has to do with actually cooking. The cooking is just a little part of all of this. So step 1 is to do some research, and that has actually 2 parts. So one thing that you want to do is go into your kitchen and see what you still have in the house, right? See what you have in the house already in terms of like perishable foods that need to be cooked, soon or immediately. Something that's going to go bad and you're like, oh, I'd better make a meal with that. So, take maybe like a little notebook and just jot down these things that you're seeing in your house, in your pantry, in your refrigerator, in your freezer, stuff that needs to be cooked. And alongside that, foods that maybe don't need to be cooked right now, but could be cooked. Like if you're going in your freezer and you're seeing that you already have frozen chicken, for instance, you don't want to go out and buy that, if you've already got it. This is kind of obvious. But, this is kind of the process that I would go through, is like go through the kitchen, go through the freezer, the fridge, the pantry, see what I already have that I can make meals with. And just, jot those down and keep them in mind as you plan out the rest of the meals that you're going to make for this week. A second thing that you can do in this first step of research is, go to your favorite cookbooks, or, if you like to look at recipe sites, websites, food bloggers, whatever it is that is kind of like your go-to places for getting food inspiration or recipe inspiration. Go there and see, see what meals you might like to make for the week that are, meals that you need to think about that that you need to actually look at a recipe for. If that is something that interests you to like try something new, now's the time to write that down. So that would be my step one, is doing that research. What do I have on hand and what would I like to cook for this week coming up? Step two is planning. So at the planning stage, so ideal scenario is that you have a calendar, and I actually use Google Sheets for this. Like I'll make a calendar on Google Sheets, like on a spreadsheet tab. Basically I'll have like the days of the week at the top, maybe like Sunday through Saturday, and then on the side, I'll have 4 rows, and I'll have like, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And so now I've basically got a grid, right? I've got my own calendar that I created, and I'm kind of, inserting in these boxes what I think I'm going to eat for those different meals. Now, you don't have to do all of that degree of detail of planning. But I think even if you could do it one time through, you can just see what it's like to do that degree of planning. It can be really useful. And the other thing is you don't have to necessarily follow that plan to a T. When the time things come up during the week, right? You can't always, you can't plan for everything. But anyways, I think that, planning things out in a calendar can be a good way to like build your meal planning muscle, so to speak. So a couple strategies for the actual planning out, like of what you're going to put in those boxes. Here's some ideas. So one thing that you could do is, first I think about breakfasts, and I try to make it as absolutely streamlined as possible so that I really don't have to think about anything in the morning. So it's just like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I usually have the same breakfast every day. That might seem boring to you, to have the same thing every day, but it really kind of makes planning a lot easier. So for me, most of the time I have a smoothie for breakfast. I don't necessarily have the same kind every day, but I make sure I have all the ingredients on hand to have smoothies. So that's something I can just like block right into my meal plan. Smoothie, right? Every single day. I might, you might have a similar kind of breakfast that you can make really quickly, or that you can make the night before, maybe like overnight oats or overnight chia pudding or something like that. If you like to have eggs, that's usually fairly quick to whip up in the morning. So maybe that's something that you would block into those breakfast blocks. So that's one tip. Another tip that I have is when it comes to dinners, make extra of your dinners so that you're going to have leftovers for your lunch. So now you're not planning out a different meal for every single meal in your meal planning calendar. You're kind of saying, okay, I'm going to have, I'm going to have stir fry for dinner on Monday night, and I'm going to make sure to make extra so that I can have the leftovers for lunch on Tuesday, right? So I like to actually like block that out so I know that, I'm remembering I'm going to have to do that. Other tips, and by the way, I have like a little guide that I created for myself, so I'm trying to remind myself to make sure I tell you everything. Another thing you can think about as you're planning out the week, like think about what is going on in your week and what are you going to have the actual energy to complete. If it's a heavy work week or you're bringing kids to, a lot of different activities and stuff, that's something that would maybe enter into your mind when it comes to thinking about what kind of dishes can I actually make this week. You might want to go with things that are on the easier, more like no brain kind of side. Another idea is when you're making extras of your dinners, you can think about, making extras of one part of your dinner and creating different sides that can go along with it. And then you can kind of mix and match that or plug that in different days and times of the week. And lastly, another tip I have when it comes to, simplifying and making things easy, even with lunch, if I'm not having leftovers, I just try to keep it really brainless at lunchtime. My go-to is like these days, or for a while now, it's like been a big salad with some kind of protein with it at the beginning of the week. And this is part of my meal planning too. I like to make some kind of a dressing at home. Just my personal preference. I really love making salad dressings. When I grew up, I never liked salad dressing. I never liked salad dressing until I started making it myself. So I'll make like a jar of salad dressing, leave it in the fridge, and it makes it a lot more likely, if I have that on hand, a lot more likely that I'm actually going to have salads or something similar like a Buddha bowl for lunch during the week. So I try to keep my lunches simple too. So let's say you've planned out your entire week on your calendar, right? Next step is just writing out all the ingredients that you're going to need to be able to make all those meals, crossing out the ones that you already have in the house, and then you have your grocery list and you're going to go shopping. Now, so timeline for all of this is, let's say that you're going to do like a traditional, like Sunday or Monday through Saturday kind of meal plan. Probably I'd be doing research, on like Thursday or Friday of the week. I'd be doing my planning on Friday or Saturday, and I'd be doing my shopping on Saturday or Sunday. That's kind of like the general kind of schedule of how I think I would follow it usually. So we've got research, we've got plan, we've got shop, prep. So you could be doing this. Prep doesn't all have to happen all at once. Like, this is not something that needs to take all day on Sunday. I think that, when we think about meal prep, oftentimes we think, I don't want to spend all day on Sunday or all day on Saturday, whatever, hanging out in the kitchen. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. Depending on what you're going to be eating for the week, you can like pepper prep through a bunch of different days. You can do, I'm also, when I think about prep, I don't necessarily think about making ahead, like making an entire meal ahead. I more think about prepping ingredients ahead, maybe prepping some things ahead, like maybe snacks, like maybe if you're going to make a batch of hummus on the weekend, for instance, if you're not buying hummus, or if I'm going to make a salad dressing on the weekend, I'm prepping that whole recipe, right? But prep can also mean if I've got a bunch of dishes that have like chopped onions in it, maybe I'll chop up the onions on Sunday, put them in a container and stick them in the fridge, and now they're ready to go when it comes to like Tuesday night and I need my chopped onions. I don't have to chop them. I already did that work. So it's kind of like planning ahead, when you're going to do your prep and what needs to get done. So let me think, any other examples that I have written down that I wanted to share with you. So sometimes, I haven't done this lately, but I was on a kick for a while of making like a sweet potato breakfast hash that had like either tempeh or turkey in it. And I would make that big thing, like I'd make it on like a Sunday so that I could eat it on like Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and maybe even Thursday morning. Super easy, right? Another thing, I already mentioned this, but like snacks, like if you were going to make energy balls, that might seem ambitious to some of you, but any kind of like little snacks like that. Maybe if you were going to have raw veggies with hummus, like prepping your veggies ahead of time, like chopping them. Obviously that's something, if you wanted to, you could buy chopped veggies. It's a lot more expensive to buy them that way. But But if you don't, if you're buying whole veggies, you can prep them ahead of time, just chopping them up. Yeah, and like I said, you can prep some of the ingredients for your meals on the weekend or different times through the week, so you're not doing it all at once. And then the final step, most of your hard work is done. You've figured out what you're going to eat. You have a plan. The food is in your kitchen. You actually have food in the kitchen. You're not in a situation where you have to order takeout. All that's left to do is execute. So, figure out, now like Tuesday night I'm going to actually make dinner. Now you can kind of plan ahead for that and do it. You can also, in terms of execution, think about if you have kids or your partner, think about what jobs can they help you with. Cooking is, it's a communal thing, right? We're all, everyone in your family, probably you're all eating together. Why not, share in some of the labor of cooking together? So that's another thing that we can think about when we're thinking about, executing, actually getting the cooking done. So, just to recap, we've got research, plan, shop, prep, execute. Those are my 5 steps to meal planning. Like I said, this is not the only way to do it, but it's one way. Some other ways might be, let's say that you commute to your job and there's a place that you always go where for lunch, you can get a healthy lunch there. Maybe you're not planning your lunches then. Maybe that's just one thing that you're going to decide, all right, I'm going to just buy my lunch out and I'm going to focus on my breakfasts and my dinners. That's a completely, valid choice. You have to do what works for you, right? So yeah. So those are my thoughts on meal planning. And what else? I guess one last thing I would want to say is, as I said, I am a health coach. I work with women who are, battling, wanting to get fit, boost their energy, or battling other symptoms of chronic stress, and they're trying to manage and reverse chronic stress. I offer a free 30-minute discovery call where, we talk about what's going on with your health, where you're at right now, where you want to be, and, we can explore whether it makes sense to work together. It's completely free. If you're interested in that, send me a message, or you can actually go to my Instagram profile if you're listening on Instagram now, and click book now. And I actually think on my Facebook page there's also a button to book a slot in my calendar, but you can message me too. Anyways, I hope that this was helpful for you. And if you have any questions about meal prep or meal planning, put them in the comments and I will be sure to respond to them. Great. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day and evening, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.